XML file, which is a sample data center model. This file is a sample data center model, so once you've installed TPM in your test environment, if you want to see how TPM represents objects of different types, you could start to create them manually. Might be quite a time-consuming task, or we can install the venice.xml file. And the way we do this is we would use the command tools xml import.sh and file : and the full path of this XML file, this Venice XML file. So we'd use opt IBM Tivoli TPM XML venice.xml, and that will import the definitions in this XML file into your TPM database. I've already done this before, so I'm not going to type this in again. And here, the end result will be you will have resources inside your TPM database to help you learn about how TPM represents objects. So let's look at which software products have been defined. And I'll press return to filter, and here we've got a number of definitions here. Let's see which computers have been defined. So we'll go to the home page and click provisioning computer, and here we have a number of computers that have been defined. Okay, these are all servers which don't exist in the environment, in my environment, but the definitions do. So remember, this data center model is it's a logical model of the environment. Let's go back into software products, and let's look at the definition of a software product called DB2. Good old DB2, and we'll click DB2 for Linux. And here DB2 for Linux has a reference to another object, which is the installable package, and DB2 for Linux is part of a software group. This particular software product has one requirement, and it has capabilities. Now when this software is installed on a target machine, those capabilities will then be matched to requirements of other applications. So you may have a human resource application which has a requirement of DB2 UDP and version number 8. So requirements get linked to capabilities, or capabilities are exposed as requirements. Let's try and compare this definition to the definition inside venice.xml. So I'll load this into our favorite text editor, and I'll do a search for DB2 for Linux. Oops. I'll go to the top of the file, DB2 for Linux. And there may be references to this software module in many places, but I'm going to go straight into the software product definition, which is exactly here. We have a software module called DB2 for Linux, which has two capabilities. It's an RDB, and it's DB2 UDB, and it has a requirement of type OS. So here, the value highlighted, well, these, in fact, I'll highlight two of these values. We'll see inside here the name and the version. So when you're building your data center model, you could use this file as a template, or you can incrementally start to build your software product definitions via XML. Then you could build your computer definitions. If you don't want to do discovery, then you could build your customer application hierarchies if you want to represent those. So life for objects could start from an XML definition. Okay, so let's have a bit of a recap. We've looked at automation packages, we've looked at workflows, we've looked at the APDE, the actual development environment, and I've shown you a bit of the GUI. Remember, this is a very quick whiz through of TPM. I'm assuming some of you have seen, or most of you have seen TPM before, so this is by no means a comprehensive training course into TPM. That's another 4 days, should you wish to attend that. Go back to the Start Center, Now you'll see there's a number of ways of locating objects. So here, if you know what the object name is, you can do a search for the object name, or search for a portion of the object. So here, when I type in DB2, this is going to bring back all the objects which have DB2 in the name, and they may be of different types. Now when you're doing development of workflows and you're interrogating the DCM, you need to be aware of all the various types of objects that are available and the various relationships between those objects. As an example here, we have a DCM query, which is an XPath type of syntax where we have /object, /object, and so on until we have @attribute. And this is going to search for objects which match certain conditions and return the attribute types. But for you to write a successful query, you need to understand the data center model. Now the place to look in to find out which objects we have, what types they are, what attributes they have, and how they are related is if you go into your TPM home directory, into the XML directory, and there's a file here called DCM object mappings document.xml. Load this into your favorite editor and you'll see XML type of syntax, which is showing us all the various objects that have been defined in the TPM database, all the various types of objects and those relationships. Now I showed you DB2 earlier on, and DB2 is a software product. So let me just have a guess. Software product. So here there is no object called software product. It's actually called software module. So let's do a search for DCM object name equals software module. So here we have the start of the definition of a software module. And the start of an object definition begins with a DCM object and ends with /DCM object. So what this is showing us is that the software module has a number of specifically defined attributes. It has an ID, a name, it has a locale, it has a title, description. So the options of the attributes here will be seen in the GUI. Let's go to our DB2 for Linux again. So what I'm looking at in the GUI is the software definition. The actual object type is the software module, and the name, we have the software definition name, the version, the vendor, the build number, which are all here, description, vendor, version, build number. Now this object has attributes. Like all objects, they have attributes. Objects also have relationships. So this software module has a relationship to a capability, has a relationship to a requirement, has a relationship to a software resource template, and so on. So what this really means is, given a software module, we can write a query to find out all the capabilities of that software module. Given a capability, we can find out all the software modules which match that particular capability. So when you're doing a DCM query, it's almost like an SQL query, but in a single line. And the way you can test your queries is by going into the APDE. I'm just going to clear this, and we can do / to start the query. As an example, /server. By default, when you run this query, it's going to bring back the IDs of all the computers, all the servers. If you do /server /@ID, @attribute name, that's the same result. So if you don't specify an attribute, then the ID attribute is implied. It's implied that you want to display the ID attribute. Let's get the names of all the software module objects. So I can do /software module /@name.